Okay, and finally, you once did, speaking of people, us fighting back and forth, which we've done a lot. You once
I don't think I've ever fought with you. Have I ever fought back and forth with you? I don't think so.
No, overall with the network, right? Because you did do a mean tweet about Damage Report. That's John Iadarola's show. Okay.
I think they were trashing me earlier today. So,
I'm not. So you're still watching?
Oh yeah, I watch you guys.
The vanguard will be there, sir.
Yeah, super excited to get into this. Yeah, a lot to say about this one, guys. A lot to say about this one. Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Young Turks. I was watching this live last night. A lot of interesting stuff to say about this. The chat seemed to be about 70%, just kind of like, why is this happening? Like, what the fuck? Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene? There was some people in there that seemed like they were Marjorie fans that were watching TYT probably just for the first time to see, Marjorie on air. And those people were just like, it seemed like a bunch of kind of brain dead boomers, to be honest. Oh, I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank you, Marjorie. Stuff like that. And then also a lot of people just bitching about the audio. I don't know if anyone else was watching the stream last night, but the audio was trash. I'm not sure what happened, but it was like out of sync for most of it. There was some glitch. Luckily, it seems to have been fixed in the version that they posted on the website. But if you didn't watch live last night, then you don't know. But the whole chat was like nothing but
it kept cutting out.
What's going on with the audio? And then some people were like, "Oh, if you refresh the page, then the audio will be fine." Either way, let's take a look and see how Cenk did.
Oh yeah.
All right, now we got a fun and interesting guest for you guys. Joining me now on the Young Turks, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman from Georgia's 14th District. Congresswoman Greene, good to have you on the Young Turks.
Hi, thanks for having me tonight.
No problem. So normally we disagree a lot, and you've seen some of that. So now people are getting snatched up off the streets. Mahmoud Khalil, Öztürk, who wrote an op-ed against Israel or criticizing the current Israeli government, and now they're arrested and potentially deported. And they were here legally on visas or as on green cards. Seems to be a direct attack on freedom of speech. What's your stance on those arrests?
It doesn't seem to be that, Cenk. It is an extreme, unfathomable assault on our most basic and fundamental freedom in this country.
Well, I think freedom of speech extends to Americans. I haven't really been vocal on any of those issues. That's been more.
Yeah, well, you're a congresswoman.
Some of my other Republican colleagues that have been addressing those issues. I think being an American citizen is a pretty special privilege. But if you're here on a visa or a green card, then I think you should be respectful towards America. And
so you want to change the Constitution. You want to shred the Constitution and change it after you've said all this stuff about how you love the Constitution. I'm a conservative. I believe in the Constitution. No, you fucking don't. You just believe in your right to have guns.
And the people that we stand with. And so if they've done something wrong, then I have no problem with them being deported.
Right. If it turns out that the reporting is accurate, and Öztürk as an example, the Turkish student up in Tufts, she just wrote an op-ed, didn't do anything else, didn't say anything against America, just criticizing Israel and calling for an economic boycott. The Supreme Court has said that freedom of speech and our Constitution applies to everybody in the country, including resident aliens, that's legal aliens who have a green card, and people on visas. So it could corrode our freedom of speech if they're not allowed to criticize Israel. Does it bother you that it's just this one country that you're not allowed to criticize here in America, no matter what your status is?
Well, I definitely stand for people's free speech. That is something that I'm on record doing, even speech that I disagree with. Let me tell you, probably a lot of people watching this show have said horrible speech against me, probably in my comments and all over social media, and probably on the show you guys have probably said ugly speech against me. So but I still stand as a United States representative defending free speech, and I think I defend free speech probably more than most members of Congress, including many Democrats, that you say a lot of nice.
You just fucking said that you were cool with Mahmoud Khalil and other people being deported for their fucking speech. Because, they weren't behaving well against America or whatever the fuck. Like that was your flimsy ass excuse to justify the fucking removal, the deportation of lots of people that are here legally, literally dozens at this point.
100%. And also, Cenk specifically references BDS. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene in her, current run. I mean, this was obviously at 2021, but still, she says the squad supports BDS defunding Israel and stopping the Iron Dome, implying that she opposes, BDS, right? Obviously.
And she then shit on the squad for voting to fund Ukraine or whatever. But it's like you were just attacking them for not being fucking pro-Israel enough. Which is it?
Things about. And I wanted to make sure that for the record, everyone knows that I single-handedly came out so hard against a boycott bill that was going to be brought to the floor on Monday because I thought it was a violation of free speech that I took it down. And
she did do that, by the way, but Cenk does not bring up the fact that this is a new position of hers. He doesn't bring up the fact that this is totally out of character and that she had spent a lot of time slamming progressives and smearing people who she just brought up in the past for supporting what she now claims to support.
And it wasn't voted on this week. And because I believe Americans have the right to buy or boycott any product or country that they want. So I have a very strong record as well as
It's not a strong record. It's a new twist.
Defended Julian Assange, Eric Snowden, and many others.
Eric Snowden. Sorry.
So I believe our First Amendment and our free speech is incredibly important. I'm not familiar with this young lady's op-ed. I haven't read it, and I'm not familiar with the details of this story. So because I don't know all those details, it's hard for me to give you an exact opinion on this.
This is like Matt Taibbi. This is like Matt Taibbi. Oh, I claim to care so much about free speech, but I am suspiciously ignorant about the number one biggest threat facing free speech at the current time. Like, oh, I need to look up on that. I must have missed that memo. Must have missed that story. Oops. Get back to me in 6 months after I've researched it a little bit more. Like, bro, you can't claim to be free speech and then not know, again, about the number one issue facing free speech in this country.
Oh my gosh, because you brought up Matt Taibbi, I have to read this to everybody. This is what he was saying about the Rumisa Ozturk case, right? He says, if there's no effort to self-examine, then it makes it hard to talk about the Trump issues with speech. The Ozturk story, for instance, really would be an ominous development if it were for sure true that she was detained for writing one op-ed, which is the contention of her attorneys. And no evidence or fucking criminal warrant has been produced to say otherwise, I would add. He then says, but Marco Rubio has specifically denied this, saying there's more to the story. And though he easily may not be telling the truth, it's infuriating to see that key detail ignored in the coverage of top papers, basically implying that, it's too super secret, as that Jelani was bitching about on Twitter in a way that I actually agreed with. Like, they can't even come out and say it. Like, what the fuck, Mr. Free Speech? You're the guy that's the champion of free speech. You're not even concerned at all. You're saying it would be concerning, but the government has some real evidence that they just can't show the public. Are you kidding me? This is the level of brain rot that we're forced to reckon with.
Yeah, it's like believing the cops after they say, oh, trust me, there was a totally good reason to kill that unarmed person in the street. It was actually self-defense. Yep. Trust us, bro. Like, obviously they're going to say that. They're not going to say we committed a violent crime on the street for everyone to see. Please be mad at us. In the same way, yeah, obviously Marco Rubio is not going to say, yep, we just rounded up this chick for no fucking reason other than we didn't like her free speech. Like, obviously that's not what he's going to say.
So I think, I love our Jewish American brothers and sisters. And I think they're some of the best fighters for peace. And so to me, the issue of religion and the issue of a foreign government are completely separate. Do you agree with that?
Oh, of course. And you know what? Listen, I'm a Christian. My savior is a Jew. And that's Jesus. And so, look, I have no problem with Israel. I think they're doing great. They're a great country, as well as many other countries are. And criticism about anything is something. I have a pretty good reputation of criticizing things that I think are wrong. And you referenced where I've been accused of anti-Semitism, but that was a headline. and it was not the actual story. So you may have your facts wrong there on that. I'm not anti-Semitic. Not a single bone in my body is anti-Semitic. As a matter of fact, I think that one of the problems is in this country is constantly accusing people of all kinds of hate, whether it's anti-Semitism, racism, being homo.
You know what I think is a real problem in America? Reverse racism against white folks. You know what? And what it comes in, they call you racist, and you might have said one or two racist things, but come on now.
Also, I'll let you guys know my opinion on the Jewish space laser thing in a second. But listen to this pathetic lack of pushback from Cenk. He can't even defend his own fucking reporting, his own content, because trust me, TYT definitely pushed that. They definitely pushed the Marjorie Taylor Greene is in favor or talked about Jewish space laser. They 100% went with that line. But Cenk's going to, he's not going to have much in the way of defense of, again, their own fucking coverage of the issue when Marjorie denies it here.
Homophobic, all of these things. I think that what we need to focus on is that we're all people, and making sure that we remember that humanity is something that's extremely important. And that's why we're having this chat tonight, is because we're both against all of these wars. And we need to make sure that we can take a stance in America that we don't want to be involved. We don't have to be involved. We don't have to be involved in every single conflict. And we don't need to go out and fight wars on behalf of foreign countries. As a matter of fact, we need to fix our problems at home.
Okay, well, I was going to go to the next topic, but you brought up that it was a false headline. So you're right. We have said some bad things about you. There's no question about that. And so, and it started with that issue of the space lasers, right? So you brought it back.
Yeah,
up.
but I never said
that's
Jewish
why I'm gonna
space
ask
lasers. So that's a lie. Yeah, it's a lie, and I really am tired of people perpetuating.
So what
the
do you
lie.
mean you didn't say it? Just I'm trying to clear it up.
I never said that. I've never said that statement in my life, but there was someone that wrote an article, and that was the headline, and that's what they created. It was in early January of 2021 when I first came into Congress. And so it was an entire hit piece against me. And it was a statement I had never said in my life, and never even heard of it until I saw it trending.
Cenk is literally just, and you'll see, the follow up in a sec, but Cenk is literally just allowing her to, again, whitewash herself, to launder her reputation live on the air of the Young Turks, even though, again, they did stories about that. They did fucking stories of her talking about the space laser controversy, which, by the way, from my understanding, was in a Facebook post from before she got elected to Congress, from like maybe 2018 or something like that. Long Alex Jones style screed. Modern day Jimmy Dore style screed. And yes, she talked about how the lasers from space were starting wildfires or something like that. The thing, that she is right about is that she didn't actually use the phrase Jewish space laser. Like, she didn't actually put those three words together, at least from what I understand. It's kind of, but the fucking conspiracy is still considered by most people to be very anti-Semitic, much like the lizard people stuff. Like, it's all rooted in that. It all kind of goes back to that. So Marjorie could say, and people that believe in lizard people could say, oh no, like, I'm not into that strain of the conspiracy. I'm into one of the non-anti-Semitic strains of this conspiracy. But the fact of the matter is that she 100% was spinning yarns and telling lies, conspiratorial lies about space lasers and connecting it to the Rothschilds and the, globalists and all these sort of dog whistly things. So I think that Cenk should 100% stand by his coverage. I think it's pretty ridiculous that he's backing down like this and letting her whitewash her reputation and her track record and what she said. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I am looking at this. I have it on my laptop, so it's harder to throw up on screen. We don't really need to, but you're totally correct. Basically, she gets into this deep Rothschild conspiracy about how they're like stealing energy from the sun, and it's a laser system, and it obviously is totally a dog whistle for anti-Semitism. But she has a scapegoat, and that's why you should just be honest about the, like we call it the space laser thing colloquially, but he should have done what Gavin did, which is pull up the actual source material and go over it and talk to her about why it's interpreted as anti-Semitic instead of just rolling over on something he reported.
And just be like, why are you gaslighting us? Like, you did write that. Like, what we're talking about. don't act like it's a smear when you fucking wrote that and published it on your Facebook page. And don't fucking act like I lied about you when I just reported on it. Like, sorry you didn't like the headline. Sorry you felt the headline was unfair to you and whatever the fuck blog originally got their hands on this. But I don't think that, if you look at how long this Facebook post is, it's like a fucking pamphlet. It's huge. So they had to condense it down to some catchy title. Sorry that they landed on Jewish space laser, I guess.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because he doesn't make her defend the fact that she believes there are space lasers, right? So even if they're not Jewish, and she just meant the Rothschilds, a wink, 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 and they, and the people who are going to make money off of this. But let me just read you a portion of this. All right, it says. It says they announced the launch in space in March 2018 and maybe even put them up before that. Space solar generators collect the sun's energy and then beam it back to Earth to a transmitter to convert it to electricity. The idea is clean energy to replace coal and oil. If they are beaming the sun's energy back to Earth, I'm sure they wouldn't ever miss a transmitter receiving station, right? I mean, mistakes are never made when anything new is invented. What would that look like anyway? A laser beam or a light beam coming down to Earth, I guess? Could that be the cause of a fire? I don't know. I hope not. That wouldn't look good for Procter & Gamble and the Rothschilds, or Jerry Brown, who sure does seem fond of Procter & Gamble. Good thing for Solera and that Michael Peavy is on their board since he's a former president, yada, yada. It's just arranged screed, but that's all still hysterical nonsense.
Yeah, it actually sounds even crazier if you read the full thing instead of just condensing it down to Jewish space lasers. Like, that actually sounds far more unhinged. It sounds like you're reading the ramblings of a fucking schizophrenic person that wandered up to you at the gas station and handed you a little note, and you get home and you're like, what the fuck is this? And you keep reading. It's like, what the fuck? That what? That's what that sounds like. That's even worse.
Yeah, it's like if I went to that David Icke guy's writing, this is what I would expect to hear.
On Twitter attached to my name.
So that was not your Facebook account?
Of course it was my Facebook account, but I never said Jewish space lasers. And I never blamed Jewish people or Israel for anything in my Facebook post. And you could read my Facebook post and it's clear and obvious.
Okay. Are you worried about Elon's space lasers these days? Because they're like, I heard about this Golden Dome project.
Oh,
I know.
And this is the other thing that makes it really clear that she's talking about Jewish people. I wonder how you get privy to that kind of info. You must have to know somebody, right? Seems like there's a lot of connected people in this crowd. And with these space solar generators, I really hope they have good aim being the sun's power down to Earth. But what do I know? Like, she's clearly implying that it's like a cabal.
I know this is a little bit, it's just an adjacent topic, but let me ask you while we're here. So it would cost hundreds of billions of dollars. And theoretically, it would be like Iron Dome that we gave to Israel where it protects the country. But it sounds like a giant boondoggle to me. I don't think that they're going to be able to pull that off. And isn't it a problem that Elon's one of the top donors to Donald Trump? And now if he gets this massive contract for Golden Dome, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest you'd be worried about?
Well, I think having national defense is critically important, and that's something that the American people would definitely want. I don't know the details of this project, but I think it's kind of silly to just make these accusations against Elon and the Trump administration when we could go through every single administration going back for decades and line up the wealthy people in the country that benefited from whoever was president at the time. I mean, we could talk about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, who banned.
Who had a front row seat at Trump's inauguration?
Yeah, she's like, we could talk about that thing you're asking about, or we could talk about Obama. Let's go back in time a decade and talk about that instead of the current compromising factor within the administration that I cheerlead for and endorsed, Elon Musk, who, what's wrong with him?
Me, Twitter that banned my personal page until Elon bought X back. We could go through the list on and on. Pharmaceutical companies that benefited during COVID and many more things.
Who was president when the vaccine was being developed? Who was president during Operation Warp Speed? Who named it Operation Warp Speed?
So I'm not really going to get into the silly back and forth about, Elon is bad. Actually, I think Elon is a great patriot, and what he's doing at Doge is critically important because we're $36 trillion in debt. That's the right and the left. We're in that debt together. And so I'm thankful he's taking that on.
All right, so on another show, we might talk about the tax cuts and how that's going to put us in much greater debt, but it is a different topic. So, and by the way, do both sides take tremendous amount of money and do what their owners want? Absolutely. And so, do I talk about
embarrassing, Cenk? Are you fucking kidding me? She literally served it up on a platter, an opportunity for this conversation to finally get somewhat fucking interesting, for it to finally be worth listening to for all of these people. And there were only 5,000 live viewers watching TYT last night. This is fucking why, because they all knew it was going to be the softball bullshit. You couldn't even push back a little bit on that, Cenk. You couldn't even push back a little bit. Oh, we're here to agree. We're just here to agree, Marjorie. Fuck?
It's crazy. And just to peek behind the curtain a little bit, guys, at one point they had this paywalled for members, and then they made it they released a separate members only stream so that you could watch it with all your TYT member pals. And I got one of those links sent to me, and I was watching it, and I was looking at it. I was waiting for it to grow. I was waiting for the live viewers, guys. They were at its peak. 214 members watching the Young Turks last night. Absolutely devastating. We've been speculating for a long time over here, like, oh, like they must be doing really poorly with their memberships. This was something that Cenk promoted. This was something that was a relatively big deal for the Young Turks at this point in the game. And this is something that got them more than usual live viewers during the evening. So you'd have to imagine that 200 members watching your show every night, not a very good look for TYT, which is a massive corporate organization that's done multiple rounds of venture capital funding.
Yep. And again, 5,000 live viewers watching Cenk interview Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's insane. That's so low. That's like barely more than a normal TYT live stream would get. If we had Marjorie Taylor Greene on, I bet you would get 10,000 live viewers, bro. I'm not even fucking kidding you. Why? Because people would know that would be a fucking shit show. Oh, fuck. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to talk to Silly and Billy. I can't miss that. I'm clearing my calendar, But everyone kind of knew that it wouldn't actually be worth setting aside the time to tune in to this fucking interview because it was boring as shit. It's not even over, but we're 28 minutes in. I'm surprised any of you guys are still watching. This is a snooze.
Don't worry, there is a little bit of a spicy exchange at the end.
In relationship to the Republican Party? Absolutely. Do I talk about it in relationship to the Democratic Party? Absolutely. Right. And again, AIPAC was the #1 donor, but you're right. Big Pharma normally gives more money than AIPAC. Some oftentimes 4 times as much. Oil companies, bankers, etc. So I'm curious. Do you take corporate PAC money or no?
No, I don't take a lot of corporate PAC money. I don't have donations from Big Pharma. I think I didn't go on the Israel trip with AIPAC, and I've had, I think, around $2,000 from them, but that's it. I don't have big tech money. Most of my donations, over 90% of them, are from the grassroots or small dollar donations. I have one of the largest digital files in Congress, and I have donors from all 50 states. I think I'm one of the rare members of Congress that actually have donors from all 50 states, as well as over 11 million people that follow me across social media platforms.
All right, well, let's hope so. And let's hope that the fact that the left, the right, the middle, everyone agrees that we should not get involved in a war in the Middle East influences the president. Okay, on a different electoral topic, last serious question is Senate run in Georgia. Are you considering it?
I'm really lucky to have options for several different races, and I'm lucky to have those options because of the incredible support that I have from many people in Georgia. Polling shows that I can easily win for the Senate primary. Polling also shows I can easily win for the governor's primary. But I got to tell you something else. I absolutely love my district. So the good thing for me is it's my choice to make, and I just have to give it some good thought.
Okay, that seems like a wide open door. That's my interpretation of that answer. Okay, and finally, you once did, speaking of people, us fighting back and forth, which we've done a lot. I
don't think I've ever fought with you. Have I ever fought back and forth with you? I don't think so.
No, overall with the network, right? Because You did do a mean tweet about Damage Report. That's John Iadarola's show. Okay.
I think they were trashing me earlier today. So,
I'm not. So you're still watching?
oh yeah, I watch you guys. I watch all kinds of news. I'm not a Fox News viewer. I hardly watch Fox. I actually enjoy watching a lot of different news. I enjoy different perspectives and people's opinions.
All right, so you got a message for John Iadarola?
Tell him to be nice to me. He's never even met me.
Okay, that's a tough ask, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
John's in the find out stage of fucking around and finding out. This is your life now, bro. This is the team you chose. This is the lot you landed for yourself, and you could have gotten away with some dignity with your head held high. Well, now your boss is laughing along with the fascists as people lose their rights. All right, imagine Cenk smiling and laughing after doing a friendly with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I honestly never thought we would get quite this low.
Yeah, and meanwhile, he won't talk to Sam Cedar, who he calls a low-rent grifter. He fired Francesca Fiorentini for daring to speak out about the direction that the network was going in. But look at his fucking face. He's thrilled to be sitting here playing footsie, flirting with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Literally a fucking self-identified Christian nationalist. Someone who was just tweeting about how the real genocide is being carried out by Planned Parenthood. This is who we're talking about. And again, he didn't have time to actually push back. He was like, oh, we don't have time to get into that. We don't have time for me to push back. But he does have time to sit here for 5 minutes and fucking flirt and be like, what's your message to John Iadarola? And then you watch the show? No way. Like, what the fuck is this, bro? This is fucking disgusting. This is pathetic.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I was trying to find the exchange between her and the Damage Report, but I'm not exactly sure what went down between them on Twitter. Did you catch that, Gavin?
No idea.
Yeah, either way, I'm sure that John is really, he's realizing kind of what situation he's in. Apparently, he responded to her on his show this morning, but pretty embarrassing shit.
All right. Well, for folks who have disagreed a lot in the past, I'm glad that we agree on a super important issue. We've got to stop the war. And we've got to get, by the way, I'll also say this. We got to get past our selfishness. Oh, I'm going to be pure. I'm not going to talk to Cenk. I'm not going to talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm going to stay pure. No, we've got to find alliances, especially when people's lives are on the line, trillions of dollars are on the line.
I'm glad we can.
And so
I'm glad we can agree on stopping the war. And also the other even more important issue, talking to Cenk Uygur and Marjorie Taylor Greene and why that's totally fine. And I should not at all be criticized for this and what I'm doing right now. He can't help but make it about himself and about the criticism that he knows is coming, that was happening simultaneously in the chat as this interview was conducted. It's so funny. Also, Zach, let's take a look at the comment section for this interview. This one says, sorry, all I see is a person that chased a young school shooting victim down the street screaming at them. Kind of forgot about that episode, to be honest. Thanks for reminding me.
David Hogg thing.
Yep. This woman shared a stage with Nick Fuentes. Do Alex Jones next while you're talking to fine, upstanding American intellectuals. She's doing some saving face. I'll never forget her running down the Parkland High School survivor David Hogg. Shameful, and it shows her gutter side. Cenk always criticizes mainstream media for not holding politicians' feet to the fire. Then he gives Marjorie Taylor Greene the most softball interview ever. It's so disappointing. And then here's a great one too. TYT has become what it was once the alternative too. Pretty much all the top comments very deeply critical and negative.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know. I guess it's working a little bit in the sense that Cenk was able to bring out some of the gutter of the internet to kind of grovel for him and be like, oh, this is a good idea. But to be honest, why not ask her? But yeah, about literally anything and provide some pushback too. I don't think he had the receipts ready. I don't think he did any prep for this. I think he was just ready to, spitball and shoot the shit with Marjorie. And guess what, guys? I am just speculating, but I'd imagine that it was agreed upon in advance with her campaign staff that it was going to be super friendly and that Cenk wasn't going to provide any pushback.
Sorry, I saw this.
Look out the door if you're in an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. 100%. The people know. The people know what's coming.
And that's from White Girls Are My Kryptonite 5779. So shout out to that Vanguardian. A real MVP.
Words we never say around the Casa del Vanguard. Anyway.
Oh my god. But yeah, literally all of these fucking top comments are calling out Cenk, calling out TYT for conducting this softball bullshit. And again, it was just boring. It was just fucking boring, bro.
Oh yeah, it was super boring.
Someone took 5 Xanax and 4 shots of Jägermeister in preparation for this interview. It's like, and again, I'm not trying to come off like I'm just criticizing Marjorie Taylor Greene for having this opinion on the war or whatever. Like, I'm glad she said that in the same way that I'm glad Tucker Carlson said it. But I also don't think it's necessary to do a softball interview with fucking Tucker Carlson where you sit down and say, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to validate this ruse that the populist right has successfully pulled on this country. Why do you think Donald Trump is fucking president right now? Why are we giving these people the distance between themselves and the administration that they manufactured consent for, that they endorsed, that they cheerled for? It's the same phony fucking movement. So no, I'm not going to fall for it again when the whole nation just fell for it and now we have a fascist in charge.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The